All right, so welcome to Truth Serum, everyone. Today we're diving deep into some pretty fascinating stuff in the world of hip-hop. We're talking Diddy, Eminem, and a whole lot of speculation around whether Eminem kind of predicted Diddy's downfall years ago. We've got articles, court reports, even a YouTube analysis from Stevie Knight to dig into. So ready to get started?
Absolutely. I think this one's gotten really interesting since Diddy's arrest last September. He's facing, some pretty heavy charges, sex trafficking, racketeering, and he's actually currently in MDC Brooklyn. Not exactly a pleasant place, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, that's pretty wild to think about. This is Diddy we're talking about. Build an empire on luxury, larger-than-life persona. And now, well,
Now he's in the same facility where Jeffrey Epstein was held, and that's not the only parallel people are drawing either. The internet is buzzing about Eminem's lyrics. Some of them, from years back, seem to foreshadow Diddy's whole situation.
okay, so let's break this down. Eminem, we all know, he's not exactly known for holding back, right? I mean, he's practically built his career on diss tracks and calling out hypocrisy. But what's really got people talking is that some of these lines, years old at this point, are being reinterpreted in light of Diddy's, well, his downfall.
Exactly. You've got Kill Shot, for example, from back in 2018. There's that line, Cluff, tell me, what do you know about that? Back then, everyone just assumed it was about, all those theories surrounding Diddy and Tupac.
Which is a whole other deep dive, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. But now that line's taken on a much darker meaning, don't you think? Especially when you consider Eminem's track record, exposing the underbelly of the industry. He's never been one to shy away from the truth.
So we're talking more than just coincidence here.
Potentially, yeah. There are actually a couple other tracks, Fuel and Antichrist, where Eminem's wordplay seems to, well, it alludes to Diddy's alleged actions with a chilling accuracy.
Okay, let's start with Fuel. That one's from 2014, right? Years before all of this came to light. What exactly is it about that song that has people talking?
Well, there's that part where he spells out R-A-P-E-R. He actually leaves out the P and even comments on it, like, did I just say what I think I said? It's subtle, but with the context of Diddy's charges, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, like he was embedding a code message or something.
Right, and then there's the line, got so many essays, SOs, which, I mean, come on, it seems like a direct reference to, to the sexual assault accusations.
It's giving me chills, seriously. And this is all pre-Diddy's arrest, right?
That's right, and then you've got Antichrist. That one explicitly references that incident you remember back in 2016 where Diddy was caught assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie. Eminem's language is graphic, sure, disturbing even, but it reflects the alleged aggression, perfectly.
So are we saying Eminem might have actually known something? Like had some sort of insider information?
That's what some people are speculating. You also have to remember Eminem's close to Dr. Dre. The whole West Coast scene, he might have had a very different perspective on Diddy and his dealings.
Oh, and we can't forget Stevie Knight's whole deep dive on this. He's a YouTuber who's been, like, religiously tracking Eminem's call-outs of Diddy for years now.
Yeah, Knight even dug up a diss on Eminem's first album from 1997, long before Diddy even cultivated that whole gangster image we associate him with. It really suggests there's a much deeper history there, a conflict that, well, that runs deeper than what we ever saw in the mainstream media.
So we could be talking about, like, almost 30 years of beef.
Potentially, yeah. Of course, it's always possible. Some of this is just coincidence, right? I mean, Eminem is a master of wordplay, and hip-hop's always been full of dishes, bragging, posturing.
So how do we separate the clever rhymes from the potential foreshadowing? Like, where's the line between artistic expression and something more, I don't know, prophetic?
Well, that's exactly what we're here to explore, isn't it? We're looking at the lyrics, the context, the timeline, trying to piece together what Eminem might have been trying to tell us all along. Yeah, it really is a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? Trying to figure out if these lyrics are just clever wordplay or something more, I don't know, something more sinister.
It's like trying to crack a code, almost. And honestly, the deeper we go, the more it feels like there might actually be something to this whole Eminem is Nostradamus theory.
Whoa, whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it's true, these lyrics, they are starting to look less like random disses and more like calculated jabs almost, especially when you consider everything that's happened with Diddy.
And the fact that he's in MDC Brooklyn, of all places. The same place where, well,
Right, where Epstein was held. It definitely adds another layer to this whole thing, that's for sure.
another layer is putting it mildly. It's almost like a cosmic coincidence or something.
Cosmic is certainly one word for it. So where do we go from here? How do we actually piece this puzzle together?
Well, I think one way is to look at, at Eminem's lyrical style in general. I mean, he's known for his complex wordplay, right? double entendres, all that. His ability to, like, embed hidden meanings within his rhymes.
Oh, he's a lyrical genius, there's no doubt about that. But even geniuses can throw out a random diss or two, right? How do we know these weren't just off-the-cuff remarks that, just happen to line up with what happens later?
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? Separating the coincidences from the intentional stuff. But I do think it's worth noting that Eminem does have a history of, well, of using his music to expose the darker side of the industry, right? He's never been afraid to call out hypocrisy, to shine a light on the less glamorous aspects of fame, to say the
Oh,
least.
absolutely. Think about The Warning, for example, that diss track aimed at Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon back in 2009. He practically eviscerated them with his lyrics, didn't hold back on any of the details.
Exactly, and that's just one example. Eminem, he's never shied away from controversy, and he's often used his music as a weapon almost to take down his rivals.
So it's not entirely out of character for him to have targeted Diddy in a similar way, even if it was years before, before the accusations came out.
So what you're saying is Eminem has a pattern of using his lyrics to expose the truth, even if that truth hasn't, fully come to light yet. And in Diddy's case, those truths might have been hidden for years, just waiting for the right moment to surface.
That's one interpretation, yeah. And it's a pretty compelling one, especially when you consider the specifics he includes in these songs. Like in Antichrist, when he talks about Diddy assaulting Cassie, that wasn't public knowledge at the time, but Eminem raps about it with such clarity. It's like he was there.
Which brings us back to that question of insider information. How could he have known about these things if they weren't, if they weren't widely known?
That's where things get really interesting. We have to consider the possibility that Eminem had access to, well, to a different network of information, maybe through his connections in the industry. Remember, he's been close with Dr. Dre and the West Coast scene for decades now. And as we know, the hip-hop world, it can be a very insular place, right? Full of secrets and alliances.
So are we saying there's a chance Eminem was aware of, like, rumors or whispers about Diddy's behavior long before it became public?
It's definitely within the realm of possibility, and if that's true, then these lyrics take on a whole new level of meaning. They become less about, just idle dishes and more about veiled warnings almost, like he was trying to alert us to something sinister lurking beneath the surface.
It's almost like he was planting clues, knowing that eventually the truth would come out.
That's a pretty dramatic interpretation, but yeah, I can see how someone might come to that conclusion.
And what about the people who say it's all just a coincidence, that we're reading too much into these lyrics and giving Eminem, more credit than he deserves?
Well, skepticism is always warranted, of course. We have to be careful not to get carried away with speculation and all that, conspiracy theories. But at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that these lyrics exist, that they were written years before Diddy's arrest, and that they seem to align with the accusations against him in a way that's, well, that's hard to dismiss as just chance.
It's a tightrope walk, for sure. Trying to balance skepticism with open-mindedness, especially when we're dealing with something as complex and layered as this.
Absolutely. We have to consider all angles, weigh the evidence, and try to make sense of it all without jumping to conclusions. And I think that's what makes this whole deep dive so compelling. It's a journey into the heart of hip hop, where truth and fiction often intertwine, and where lyrics can hold more weight than we initially realize.
It's a reminder that music can be more than just entertainment. It can be a reflection of reality, a commentary on society, and sometimes, yeah, even a window into the future. It really does make you wonder, like, what other hidden messages might be hiding in Eminem's music.
I mean, that's part of what makes art so interesting, right? It's open to interpretation. It can reveal new layers of meaning as time goes on, as contexts change. Who knows what other rhymes might take on a whole new meaning as events unfold.
Yeah, it's a bit unsettling, honestly. Like, how much did he really know? And why not just come out and say it, more directly?
That's a great question, and I don't know if there's an easy answer, but we do have to remember that hip hop, it has its own codes and conventions, like direct call-outs. Those can be, career suicides almost, especially when you're dealing with someone as powerful as Diddy was.
So maybe these cryptic lyrics, maybe that was his way of planting seeds of doubt, of kind of hinting at a truth that he couldn't fully expose at the time.
It's definitely possible. And remember, even back then, there were rumors about Diddy. Eminem might have been tapping into that existing unease, giving voice to suspicions that a lot of people already had.
It's like he was speaking in code almost. knowing that those who were, those who were really paying attention would understand.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. It challenges us to think about, about the role of music in society, how it can reflect, comment on, even influence the world around us.
It also makes you wonder about the power dynamics in the industry, right? Like if Eminem did know something, why didn't he feel safe speaking out? What does that say about the culture of silence? Complicity behind the scenes.
That's a huge point, and it speaks to that bigger issue of accountability in powerful institutions. It's often the people with the least power who are the most vulnerable, right? And their voices are often silenced or just ignored.
So in a way, Eminem's lyrics, regardless of what he intended, they've kind of sparked this much needed conversation about these issues.
I think so, yeah. And that might be the most valuable thing to come out of this whole deep dive. It's forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths about an industry we love and to consider how art can be both a reflection of and a catalyst for change.
We've gone from dissecting lyrics to examining power structures to questioning the very nature of truth and accountability.
It's been quite a journey, that's for sure. And at the end of the day, it's up to each of us to decide what we believe, right? Do we see Eminem as a prophet, a truth teller, or just, a master manipulator of words? The answer might be somewhere in between.
I guess that's part of the beauty of it all, isn't it? We're left with more questions than answers, but we've been challenged to think deeply, critically, about something that often just gets, glossed over.
And that's maybe the ultimate goal of any deep dive, right? To spark curiosity, to encourage skepticism, and to leave the listener wanting to learn more.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder all the mysteries we've uncovered. Keep listening, keep questioning, and as always, stay tuned for our next deep dive.